Hello guys, Stephen here, back with the first video in a week. Sorry, I just needed some time off. I needed it. I felt like I needed it. Sometimes you know when you do, so I took a bit of time away. As you noticed as well, I wasn't even online for a few days as well. I just kind of went away from Twitter, I went away from the internet, and I needed it. But I'm back here now, feeling a lot more refreshed. Genuinely, sometimes you need to step back. And I've caught up with all the City games, and I've caught up with all the news and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to do a big kind of catch-up video, because I've had loads of DMs asking where I am. If I'm okay, I'm fine, don't worry. And what I thought about the games and all that kind of stuff while I was away, just taking a mental break and all that kind of stuff. So I'm going to go through the Sheffield United game a little bit. I have caught up on the games now. I'm going to go through the Olympiacos game as well, and also the FA Youth Cup final, because I know a lot of people were curious about that. I did watch that game as it happened, actually, so that was when I watched live, but I did kind of stick to my mantra of not tweeting about it and just sticking to having a bit of a mental break and a bit of a digital detox, basically. So firstly, I want to say thank you to everyone who messaged asking if I'm alright. I really appreciate it. You're absolutely lovely, genuinely. So many people are like, Stephen, you okay? Where have you gone? Just taking a break, you know. Sometimes you need a break. But thank you so much to everyone who reached out. And I'm sorry for leaving you like that. I wasn't planning to leave you so unexpectedly. It's just sometimes you got to do what you got to do for yourself. And that's where I was mentally. But it's lovely to be back. And all the videos are going to be back stronger than ever. I promise you. I've got a month of hustle lined up. I'm going to work really hard this month and get loads of videos down for you guys. Hopefully daily live streams as well. So fingers crossed you enjoy the content. But I'm going to start initially with the Sheffield United game. I did kind of watch this one a little bit via Twitter over the distance at the time. I've caught up to it now. Firstly, I wanted to say I quite enjoyed the lineup of that game in general. Edison in goal, then Walker, Diaz, Laporte, Cancelo. Thought that was a really strong defence on paper. And then in midfield, Bernardo alongside Rodri and Kevin De Bruyne. I was like, oh, that's a midfield I really wanted to see at the time. And then a good strong forward three of Mahrez, Sterling and Torres. Obviously, a lot of people wanted Foden in that lineup, but at the time, I was thinking, that's pretty good. And even being honest, having watched it now, I thought the first 45 minutes we were genuinely excellent. We could have been more than one up quite comfortably, really. I think there was a couple of chances from Torres. One header in particular was really nice. A really good save as well from Ramsdale down at his near post, from another shot from Torres in general. And I thought it was good. I thought we were really controlled in that first half, and I was very, very impressed. As ever, as comes to be the story Manchester City at the moment, we did kind of fade a little bit in the second half. There was a shaky spell of about 15-20 minutes, and they did get one shot, really, I guess, one decent shot after Cancelo made a little bit of a mistake at left back, which is probably going to happen given that he's not a left back, really. Sanderberg beat him far too easily. But other than that, the main thing that I took from that game, genuinely, was just how solid Manchester City are. I mean, no, it wasn't a special performance or anything like that, but it was such a professional performance. And I'm sorry, last season, how many of those kind of performances could you count? I think we had a few recently, a few already. I could barely count them on one hand across the whole season last year. I mean, one thing that really stands out for me at the moment is defensively, we look so good. Diaz and Laporte, I mean, those two, Sheffield United couldn't create any problems against him. Walker was absolutely fantastic once again. Possibly man of the match, maybe. A wonderful goal. It had to be Kyle Walker, didn't it, of course, getting the goal against his former club there with no celebration. In general, Walker was just fantastic. That defence is really, it's the beginnings of something potentially very special. And I'm hoping we see those three in particular, and then maybe Ake every now and then if you really want to be defensive and secure. Maybe Ake against Liverpool with the other three alongside him. Of Walker, Diaz and Laporte will be really strong. But once again, this wasn't a particularly special performance, but it was just secure, you know. It was secure. There were a few chances missed up front and we were a little bit toothless, but once again, this was without Aguero and Gabriel Jesus, which was understandable. I thought Rodri was good as well alongside Bernardo. The natural kind of energy that I needed alongside him. Even though I think Gundogan's been good recently, I thought Rodri and Bernardo was a really nice little partnership. And the one thing that stuck out for me is that I was watching the game, and even though I know City would win when I caught up to it, it felt kind of comfortable. I got the impression as well that the players felt kind of comfortable, and they felt in control, and they felt like they could wind the game down really easily, which is really reassuring to see. I mean, it's rare that you see City look controlled, and that's the sense that I got from that Sheffield United team. I know it isn't a great Sheffield United team, but they were going against Liverpool prior to this game, and largely they are a good team. You know, they haven't been perfect, no, but they are a good team, and it was a very impressive, competent performance, which you kind of, you know, things that you love to see was that kind of performance. Elsewhere as well, we also beat Olympiacos 3-0 when I was away. I caught up on that as well. The team was interesting, you know, there's a few changes there, we're being honest. Walker, Stones came back into the team, which I was really happy to see, actually, alongside Nathan Ake, which of course was rebuilding of that partnership from early on in the season, with Zinchenko at left back, who's had a few games now recently, actually. Zinchenko is getting some trust again from Guardiola. And then, despite his wife's comments, and then KDB, Gundogan and Foden in midfield. Foden getting a rare chance to play in midfield, which I thought was interesting. And then Mahrez, Torres and Sterling, which currently seems to be the go-to three. This was, by the way, sandwiched either side of those alleged KDB comments about Mahrez. Now, I know Sam Lee reported this and Mahrez disputed it on Twitter. I kind of do think there's something in this personally. I do think that Mahrez probably has been castigated by his fellow colleagues for not passing it. I've seen Kevin De Bruyne go like that many times to him, so maybe there's something in this. And I did think it was noticeable, by the way, that Mahrez was passing a lot more than usual in the Olympiacos game, and he looked better for it. But overall, the game itself was, I don't think it was quite as an impressive performance as it was against Sheffield United, even though that wasn't a special performance. But once again, I thought it was pretty solid. I guess I had the benefit, compared to you guys, of watching it back with barely any anxiety at all. It was zero anxiety, because I knew City had already won it. So I was watching it through slightly different eyes when I watched back the game. And at all times to me, City felt kind of in control. There was a couple of slightly shaky moments, and the football wasn't always fluid. But one thing that really stuck out for me is that I think City at the moment are trying to conserve energy. I saw a little bit of that in the Sheffield United game. We're seeing a pattern where City come out and start pretty well in the first half. Then we do have a quiet 20 minutes, and then we kind of play the game out for the final 20 minutes. It isn't great for us as fans, admittedly, and it does feel like the team do fall asleep for big chunks of the game. But I think at this moment, when the players haven't got full pre-season fitness and the squad has been stretched, I think it's all we can expect at the moment. And to be honest, I'll kind of take it, because we are getting the victories at the moment. We are in a decent spell of form. We had a few wins in a row now, and to be honest, it was a pretty solid performance. Once again, I thought Ferran Torres looked pretty decent. 3 goals in 3 Champions League games now for Manchester City. His record for goals in a season, by the way, is 6 for Valencia. He's already on 4. This guy is easily going to break that. £20 million, what an absolute bargain. And the most encouraging things from both the Sheffield United game and the Olympiacos game for me is that even though he's a winger, Torres shows some natural striking ability with his runs. There's a couple of runs in the Sheffield United game when he went in behind and he got to the near post. Even though Ramsdale saved his shot in the Sheffield United game, that near post run was fantastic. And it was a good finish as well, actually, just a good save as well. And his goal here, the little 1-2 with Kevin De Bruyne, scintillating stuff. The kind of stuff you'd expect from Aguero in his pomp when he was younger. Genuinely lovely stuff. And that flick as well from the corner, when he nearly scored, a little kind of like Gianfranco Zola-esque flick. Absolutely delightful. Lovely stuff. Ferran Torres for 20 million. Just an absolute bargain. I mean, it is frustrating. When I watched the Olympiacos game back, I was thinking, we do seem to lack a bit of a killer instinct at the moment. But I will allow it, because once again, I do think the defence looks kind of solid. And it was nice to see the defence looking solid, despite no Laporte, despite no Diaz as well. It was lovely to see that Walker, Stones, Ake and Zinchenko could look really solid too. I mean, isn't that what we want? I thought Gundogan was pretty good in this game as well. I don't think De Bruyne is at his best at the moment, by the way, but that was another couple of assists for Kevin De Bruyne, you know. Picking up assists despite not being at his best, that's what Kevin De Bruyne does. I mean, I did think there was a couple of times as well where De Bruyne looks like he's not quite as fast as he used to be, which is a bit of a shame, because a couple of times we tried to break away, he didn't really have the legs, which was a shame. But largely, I thought De Bruyne was solid, and City's midfield was solid, and largely everyone was kind of solid. It was a little bit drab, I can't deny that, but there were changes, and we got the job done. And how good was it to see Gabriel Jesus back on the pitch? Something none of us were expecting beforehand, and what a goal. Seriously, has he been paying attention or asking for tips from Sergio? Because that finish was right out of the Aguero textbook. Absolutely rifled it in. Where did he learn to strike a ball like that? But I will take it, and hopefully we see plenty more of that. And once again, when he came on, Gabriel Jesus, that energy, so infectious. He runs at people constantly. I absolutely love it, and it's wonderful to see him back in the team, because we are a different team when he's involved. I want to see a forward line at some point of either Foden or Sterling with Torres and Gabriel Jesus. I want to see that energy. I want to see that direct pressing. It'd be so much fun to watch. Though Foden, I did think, had a pretty poor game, unfortunately. I mean, it's the first time he's played in central midfield for a while, so I'll kind of slightly allow him it. And I think largely he's been so good that he's allowed a poor game here and there. I mean, one mistake which created a chance for Valbuena was not good at all. But largely Foden's been fantastic, and very much deserves his recall to the England squad, by the way. And I was still happy for him to get the game time and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it was also nice to see Nemecha as well on the pitch. Nemecha getting an assist for Cancelo. Okay, it was a stat padding assist, but still, you could see it in Nemecha's face afterwards that he was absolutely delighted to be involved. And a lovely finish, by the way, from Cancelo. How nice is it to see Cancelo being really useful at the moment? Even if he's playing at left back or right back, he's looking genuinely threatening and genuinely useful, and genuinely, which is the most important, different to Walker, and that is very, very useful. Overall, I thought the Olympiacos game it was okay. It was totally fine and what we needed at the moment. And we're nearly there now. We're nearly there in securing our route through to the next stage of the Champions League. And it was a professional performance once again. Not perfect, no. But once again, we got the victory. And there were the games I missed. And I think, to be honest, they were very similar. City looking pretty good in patches. Looking pretty strong defensively. A little bit toothless up front, but largely pretty professional. And at the moment, given last season as well, I kind of take that. It does feel like we're slowly going through the gears, and certain players are starting to find the form. And Guardiola's starting to find a bit of his mojo as well. Guardiola looks a little bit happier, and that is what I really want to see. I want to see Guardiola looking happy, and I want to see the likes of Diaz continue to one of the best signings we've made defensively in a long time. I want to see Ake look continuously solid. For Torres, a lot of them, and it's good signs in general. Also, I did want to touch on the FA Cup final. I watched that game in full, and I thought it was really interesting. I thought City were the better team by clear daylight, if I'm being honest. I mean, in previous incarnations of the FA Youth Cup final when City played Chelsea, I thought City have always been chasing the game a little bit, with Chelsea just a little bit more accomplished, a little bit physically stronger and a little bit better. But this was the first time in a game like that where I saw City beat the actual undisputed better team. I mean, City were miles better than the other semi-finalists I saw as well in the FA Youth Cup. They were just so much more composed, and the maturity of this group of players in general is absolutely fantastic. And the best thing for me was that to do it not just once but twice, react to kind of conceding a goal and then come out and play the football that they did was absolutely fantastic. That is the maturity that you wanted, especially given that Chelsea did genuinely score against the run of play. I mean, Slicker was maybe a little bit too rash when he came running out, but it was pretty poor defensive, and being honest. I did admire CJ Egan-Riley's attempt to clear the ball, which ended up with him walloping the post, but largely it was a pretty soft goal to concede. The equaliser, though, was lovely. Just lovely, simple football. Tommy Doyle playing in a slightly further ahead role is the kind of thing I really do want to see. I loved his little reverse through ball to Cole Palmer. Cole Palmer being as cool as you like, taking all the time in the world. None of that kind of rushness that you get from certain players. Just taking his time, waiting for the pass. Over to McAtee, dead simple. McAtee finishing it absolutely wonderfully, as he always does. Just lovely football. Genuinely lovely football. I mean, the second was good as well. The second was a really lovely goal from, I think it was Rodgers. Yeah, it was Rodgers who scored it after Delap beat his defender. Great play from Delap, by the way. Great forward play to turn and then front onto the centre-back and then use his pace to get past him and drill across him. Just wonderful number 9 play from Delap. And Rodgers finished it well. Rodgers had a pretty good game, by the way. He even hit a crossbar as well over a long ranger. But the best thing for me about that is that even though Rodgers was pretty good, I still don't think he's part of City's best 11 at that age. Jayden Braff came on and was fantastic as well. Even though Chelsea did equalise, I think there was always going to be a City winner at some point, and Braff came on, walloped the post from a long range. It was fantastic, and then he created the third with another great darting run and a great reverse free ball to Delap. We got a little bit of luck with the ball bouncing off Delap after a save over towards Cole Palmer, who was in place to put it in the bottom corner. But you make your own look, and City deserved that goal. Their equaliser was a bit fortunate as well. I think Egan-Riley looked a little bit leggy chasing back and maybe was a bit too tired after that injury earlier on. But either way, then the ball kind of came off Howard Bellis. But either way, I thought City were good. I mean, even defensively, Egan-Riley is a centre-back playing at right-back, and we had Alpha Dianco, a right-back, playing at left-back. I mean, if we had Joshua Wilson-Esbrand fit, who was a very good left-back that we got from West Ham last season, we would have been playing Dianco at right-back, and then Howard Bellis and Mbete, and then Wilson-Esbrand at left-back. And if we had Braff starting from the start as well, I think this City team would have probably been even too strong once again for Chelsea. But of course, there's always players that are missing for both teams. Mbete's really good, by the way. I really like Luke Mbete. What a Rolls-Royce of a defender he's going to be. He reminds me of a young Vincent Kompany. And what I also talk about, Joe Hodge, so underrated in our academy because he's had injuries and all that kind of stuff, but he's such a good footballer. A little kind of pit bull of a midfielder, technically excellent as well. I've always said he reminds me a bit of Verratti. I know it's a massive comparison, but he's also that similar stature, great footballer, a great passer, tenacious, reads the game so well. And I think alongside McAtee and Doyle, that was a fantastic midfield. McAtee is so graceful, so good. And it was great to see Guardiola name-checking McAtee as well recently. McAtee is just like Phil Foden, scores goals, creates goals, intelligent, works really hard, lovely footballer, lovely silky footballer. And Doyle, it was great to see him playing a little bit further forward than he does when he plays for the first team as a number 8, which is very good at that and playing some lovely free balls. Doyle winning and lifting the trophy, then getting loads of massives as well in the match reaction bit afterwards in the interviews. A massive Bert, and I love the lad. And likewise, the front three were really good. Palmer is just so good for this level, Cole Palmer. A little bit greedy at times, but once again, so much technique and so much hard work as well from all the front three and all the players, which means we're on to a very special generation of players. I mean, for me, the likes of Mbete, even Duncan could be useful one day. Howard Bellis, you got Doyle, Hodge, McAtee. Then you've got the likes of Palmer, Delap, Braff. It's a very special generation of players that we need to nurture because they become very, very useful and very good times from the academy. Anyway, guys, that's the catch-up of all the things I missed. I didn't watch the women's final, unfortunately. I don't really tend to follow the women's team. Sorry, something personal, but I kind of just follow one team, which is Man City's first team. And the academy teams is kind of intrinsically linked to that for me, so it kind of makes sense to watch it because they're essentially an extension of the first team, if that makes sense. So sorry about that, but great news for them and loads of wins for City. Like 6 City games in 6 days and 6 wins, which is absolutely lovely stuff. And largely, it's good to be back. I mean, the football was quality in the FA Youth Cup. City got 2 wins, didn't concede any goals. Happy days, really. Sorry once again for disappearing, but sometimes you've got to look after yourself mentally, and that's what I did. I love you all loads. Thank you so much for all the nice comments missing me. I will be back with a live video later, and the match preview will be tomorrow morning, I reckon. I'm going to do the Liverpool match preview tomorrow morning for you all. For now, though, love you all loads. Thank you very much for waiting for me to come back. Like, comment, subscribe. Hopefully you enjoyed the takes. Let me know down in the comments what you made of all this kind of stuff. And I won't leave you again in a bit.